Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate two different ways to make this cute little summer top. One only takes about 10 or 15 minutes and the other one takes just a little bit longer. So let's get started. This fabric here is called Style in an Instant. And I purchased it from Joann Fabrics and Crafts. I'm sure you can get it at joann.com, and also check out Amazon and other fabric stores. Look at eQuilter, fabric.com, all of those places, and you might be able to find it on there too. On the bolt, it says that it's 30 inches going this way. Well, I measured it, and when I got it home, it's more like 28. The distance between the end of this elastic area is about 6.5 inches up to the very top of the ruffle. What's nice about this fabric is it has one seam. So you just fold it in half, bringing the two raw edges together, stitching a seam, run that seam through a serger or do a zigzag stitch, and then all you have to do after that is add straps up at the top. So on this one, I just purchased a fat quarter that matched it, and I'll show you in a moment how to make the straps. But let me show you how to measure for this top. If you're measuring for a child for this dress or top, you would measure across the chest because children are pretty much straight up and down. And I would purchase exactly what that measurement is. Don't add anything to it because remember, this stretches. And then when you get it home, wrap the fabric around them and mark where you need to make your seam because you want it a little snug. You don't want it to fall down. For an adult or teenager on up, we have more curves by then, you would measure across the chest, the widest part of your chest. Now this piece of fabric that I showed you was 27 inches on the elastic part across the top. But at the bottom it was 45 inches. So you have a lot of flare. So if you have large hips, take that into consideration when you're purchasing this. Make sure that the bottom is going to go over your hips. To measure for the straps, first stitch your seam together. Then try the top or dress on and measure from the very top of the dress up over the shoulder and back down to the top of the dress on your back side. Then add 1.5 inches to be used in a seam. Next, I'll show you how to measure for this lady's top. You first want to determine if you're going to make a dress or just a top. So you want to measure from the top of your chest on down to wherever you want the top or the dress to fall. Then you're going to need to add anywhere from 2 to 3 inches for the hem, depending on how you like to make your hem, and another 3 or 4 inches for the top, depending if you want a ruffle at the top. Then also measure across your hip. Usually most of the women have their hips are larger than their chest area. But if your chest area is larger than your hips, then that would be the measurement you would go by. So you're going to add another 4, maybe 5 inches to that, depending on how loose you want this top or dress to feel. Also take into consideration seam allowance. I'm just going to make the top or the blouse area. And this is how I measured for myself. Now I don't like sharing my body measurements with people, but I know this is going to be helpful to you. My hips are 41 inches in the widest part. I'm going to add 5 inches to that measurement because I want it to be loose and very comfortable. So that comes out to 46 inches wide. I'm going to divide that in 2, and that's 23 inches. Now, to measure for the top of the blouse to the bottom, or if you're making the dress, remember you're going to go farther down. Mine was 19 inches. I want a 2.5 inch hem. I'm also going to have a ruffle, so the casing and the ruffle I need to allow for that. I added 4 inches. That came out to 25.5 inches. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of fabric, 23 inches by 25.5. For myself, I needed to purchase 1 1/3 yards of fabric, and this is about 42 inch wide fabric, and it's 100% cotton. If you're going to use cotton in your top, or any fabric actually, make sure you pre-wash it, because cotton does shrink. So you don't want to cut this up, do all that work, and then it's too small. So always pre-wash your fabric. Now when you purchase your fabric, it's folded in half with the selvage edges together, and you have raw edges at each end. What I've done is I've unfolded that, brought the 2 side raw edges together. So now it's folded this way. Here's the fold, here's the raw edges, and the selvages are on each end of your fabric. And that's how you would put your fabric together. So now I'm going to cut the selvage edges off. And now I'm going to go over and cut 25.5 inches over this way. Line up your ruler. Make sure you got everything nice and straight. And then once you've got it straight, then go ahead and cut your fabric. I've turned the fabric, so now my folded edge is over here, and here where my other 2 raw edges are. And I'm now going to cut this edge straight over here. So place your ruler on there and line it up. Go ahead and cut this edge straight. Need to move my ruler a little bit more and finish cutting it. Now I'm going to go over 23.5 inches this way, and I have just enough. Okay, and go ahead and cut this folded area off. This is why I love these large cutting mats. It makes it so easy to cut your fabric. This is my 23-inch wide area here, and this is from top to bottom 25.5 inches. So this is going to be my side seams. Now I've already got my fabric front sides together. I cut it out that way. It's easier. It's already set up. So go ahead and pin both side seams. And then you're going to stitch 5/8 of an inch seam down this side, and then 5/8 of an inch seam down this side. After stitching both side seams, do either a zigzag stitch along the raw edges or run your seams through a serger machine, especially if your fabric unravels easily. So you want to bind those edges. For the elastic casing and the ruffle at the top of the blouse, take the raw edge and fold it over. Pull this up a little bit. There we go. 1/4 inch, and press it all around. Then fold it again 2 3/4 inches and press all the way around. Then from this edge in, you're going to mark either with a fabric marking pin or chalk 1 1/4 inches from this edge in. 1 1/4 inches. Then go ahead and pin this edge. Then you're going to stitch right along this folded edge up here, real close to this edge. Stitch all the way around, but you're going to leave a small opening large enough so that you'll be able to insert the elastic. Then go in 1¼ inches and stitch all the way around. So you're stitching right on that line that you marked with a fabric marker or chalk. Take a large safety pin and put it at one end of your 1-inch wide elastic. And you're going to insert it in this hole and push this pin through the casing and keep tugging on the elastic. When you get around to where you need to bring your ends together, I would temporarily safety pin the two edges together. Try the top on to see how tight you want your elastic. Remember, you want it to be comfortable. Once you've determined the length of your elastic, then go ahead, overlap the two ends. Okay, you're going to put one end on top of the other. And then I usually stitch a little rectangle or square down there over the two ends of the elastic. Then go in and stitch this lower edge of your casing closed. I want the finished size of my straps to be 2 inches wide. So I cut a strip of fabric that is 4½ inches wide. I folded each side over 1/4 inch and pressed it all the way down. Then folded it in half, bringing those two edges together and pressing all the way down. Then stitch this edge together all the way from one end to the other. On the ends of each strap, either do a zigzag stitch or serge the ends. Then put the top on and pin your straps where you want them. Then when you go to put them on, fold the edge in like this. And like I have here, here's that serged edge. I fold it under and pulled this folded edge just past the stitching case line so it comes in towards the elastic. Then stitch right on the stitch line for the casing and double stitch across here because this is a stress area, and do that on all 4 ends of your straps. For the hem, you want to take your fabric and at your ironing board fold this over the bottom edge 1/2 inch and press it all the way around. Then fold again 2 inches and press all the way around. And then you can either use a hemming stitch on your sewing machine, or you can do a straight stitch and use matching thread and stitch right along this edge here. On this one here, after you stitch your one seam together that you need, that seam will go in the back. Then I made the straps the same way that I did on the adult top. The only difference is I cut these strips here 3½ inches wide instead of 4½. Remember, you can cut the width of your straps any width of your choosing. So then just fold the ends under and stitch it on right up here where the ruffle begins. And you do that at both ends of each strap. So as you can see, this makes a really cute little top or dress for a little girl. This is even a project an older child could make. This is a great way for them to learn how to sew, really simple, and they could feel very proud of themselves that they made their own dress or top. For more clothing projects, go to the end of this video where you will see a green screen and click on the links. If you enjoyed this video, please click on thumbs up. Also, click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on that little bell notification so that you receive emails about my latest video. I'm Cheryl. I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing!